Hi, my name is Valentino. Welcome to World Meets You with my two guests,
Roxanne.
Sabrina.
and thank you for being here today. And how did you guys meet?
How we met? Was it through Perry dance?
Perry dance.
What's Perry dance?
Perry dance is a dance school where a lot of different teachers come in to teach weekly classes. So we both started taking Nathan Trice's class.
Mm-hmm. But technically, the first time I saw Sabrina was she was performing with Nathan Trice for the Recognizing Women project, and that was in 2017.
And who is Nathan Trice? Because you mentioned him in your other video that you guys should watch.
Yeah, so Nathan Trice is a teacher choreographer based here in Brooklyn, New York with his company Nathan Trice Rituals Dance Theater. Originally he was from Detroit. He was in the military, then joined different companies including Complexions, Donald Byrd, Forces of Nature, and now he has his own group that he teaches his own philosophy and a beautiful movement technique that he created, and we're both part of that company.
And that's where you guys like officially met in that company?
Yes.
Yes.
Who said hi to who first?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I think I did. I'm like, I think probably I was just like, hey, who are you? Because, you know, that's usually what I do.
I'll take her word for it. I don't recall.
How does one create like a new dance style, a new dance technique? Is what Nathan Trice did?
I feel with him, because how he started off dancing was through the Ailey school.
Oh, yeah.
So Alvin Ailey, American Dance Theater, they had their own school. So he started off late dancing. He was about 24 at the time. So that's pretty late, you know, starting off dancing wise.
What about 34?
Hey, I mean, if that's what you want to do, I think it's never too late to start dancing. But professionally for him, it was pretty late.
Yeah.
So after Complexions and after these other companies, you know, his body, he started to feel, oh my gosh, why am I putting my leg in 6 o'clock all the time? I don't get that. So he decided that, you know what, I want to do movement that really feels more nurturing, that I'm able to still do while I'm getting older. So he's now in his 50s and he's still able to move just as beautifully as he was in his 20s. His movement is a little bit more liquid, watery, really going through, you know, the joints, the muscles. So I find that more helpful even for like my body, because that's what I like to do as well.
So family, how's your family? Are they great?
Well, I have 3 families because I'm also, you know, adopted. So, you know, I got my birth family, I got my adopted family, and then I have my dad's family. So, but they're all doing well.
They're doing well? You're close to all of them?
For the most part. For the most part, yeah. I mean, it's a little bit difficult having to, like, you know, keep that connection going with all of them. It's like, okay, who haven't I spoken to in a while?
Right.
So, you know, going down the list. I was like, oh gosh, I haven't really talked to my siblings over here, or I haven't talked to my cousin over here. So,
this must be fun. You have to call like 30,000 people.
That's what it feels like sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes I would wish they just give me a call.
Right.
Some of them do, and some of them don't. So
you could send them this part of the video and be like, call me sometimes.
Right.
Nah, it's family. They never get the hint. How about you? Are you close with your family, Sabrina?
Yeah, my family recently, we just moved to Jersey. So it's just me, my little sister, my little brother, mom, my dad. Everybody's kind of just, you know, doing their own thing. My sister is going to school in Miami for nursing, so I don't really see her often as much, even though we are very close. Yeah, she's just doing her thing in Miami. My brother's about to go to college. He's looking at different colleges, including Seton Hall, Penn State. He wants to be a lawyer. So everybody's, you know, just working hard, doing their thing. And here's me. I just moved here to Brooklyn, got my own apartment. you know, dancing, teaching, Pilates, performing, just everything. So stayed busy.
I'm sure everyone wants to know what happened with your foot. Like, how did that happen? And like, what were your thoughts when you saw your friend bleeding, just bleeding everywhere?
Well, you know, it's just like a part of being a dancer. You know, we're dancing sometimes 3, 4, 5 hours of the day, whatever kind of rehearsal we are in. And, you know, we're in barefoot. It's not like we're wearing socks or anything. And we're doing a lot of turns, a lot of jumps, like very physically strenuous. And, you know, I kept on getting like this cut at the bottom of my foot. And it just started bleeding. So, you know, so she did the whole, wipe the blood trail, and then somebody else was like bandaging my foot, and then it's like, okay, you know, back to dance for the next section. It happens more often than you think.
Were you used to people bleeding at this point?
In college, yeah. It was not as extreme as her foot, because technically it was the ball of her foot, like half of the skin like came off, like it peeled off so deep. That's where it started bleeding. And she was like walking over to me, and she's like, oh look. I was like, you need to like get a band-aid or something. Stop walking around because your blood is trailing all over the floor. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I went to the bathroom, I got some paper towels and some water, and someone said, no, you need bleach so it can disinfect, I was like, okay, fine. And so it's like going through each spot of the floor, like, oh, see a little blood here, see a little blood, oh, there's a lot there, you know, like cleaning it up so we won't get infected.
Right.
And yeah. Now in college, most people would maybe like stub their toe, and so like that might have a little bit, and then people like stop, let's clean this up, and then continue on, you know, class. But hers was extreme.
Yeah.
If you couldn't tell, she's a very good friend. Like the big sister I never had.
See, that's nice. That's nice. People love that. Everyone loves that.
So I went to University of Utah, and before they became School of Dance, it was a 2 separate schools. So you have the ballet and then you have the modern dance. So I was part of the modern dance department, and we did more postmodern technique. So if you think of Martha Graham, how hers is very structured, you know, she was like one of those pioneers that created her own technique. So you think of that modern dance. So everyone else from that, like further down the line, decide that they want to branch off from that modern dance. And so we call it postmodern. So it's like a lot of rolling on the floor and going up here and then going down there and then slicing over here. So it was a lot of that kind of movement that I wasn't really used to from high school. But yeah, so that was like, okay, I'm understanding this other world of how you can move, how you can express. And then they bring those choreographers as well who has a similar philosophy of how they like to move. So it's like a little bit of that, but once stepping out of that, because you know, you got the school structure, they kind of protect you in a certain way. And they don't really tell you all the juicy stuff about the real world until you find out for yourself.
Right.
So once you branch out from that, you're like, okay. So you start to get a sense of people's dynamics, people's personalities.
Yeah.
Can you relate to that? You know, are you okay with that? First off, you have a caste system sometimes too. You're at the bottom, so you might not get seen as much from other people who have been in the company much longer. So you have to like go through these little steps in order to get seen more, so they could, oh yeah, okay, yeah, you can dance. We can respect you. Okay, we can give you these little duets, or you can be a soloist or whatnot. So that was a huge difference for me, you know, between college and then going into the real world of dance.
For me, I think the main difference is when you're in a company and you have like the same amount of dancers for a number of years, it's about building. you're building, the art. You keep on diving deeper to see what else you can bring out of it. It's not just a whole bunch of classes that you're taking and you're performing this piece for, you have to learn this in 2 weeks and perform it, and then you do another thing. Like, you're just like, it's just like hopping from this to that, very product driven. And okay, this is what it is, and then you're going to do it. With a company, it's more about the process, how you get there. And then even once you're done performing, the work still isn't done because you're always building on top of that. And so that's why I think that, we dance so well together, is just because we know how to connect to each other. And every single time that we're on the stage, or not even on the stage, like just in the studio, like we're always going to that place, that we're just so focused and just so in the moment and just so in our craft that you wouldn't see in a college setting.
Wait, I want to hear her embarrassing moment. Do you have another embarrassing moment, or was the foot
talking about all
my embarrassing moments?
Because you said you had like a second one that you didn't want to talk about. Argue about that. I'm gonna change this light.
There was a time when I was in middle school and I was very, very young. So how old was I? I must have been like 9 or 10. And I really had to pee. And I told my teacher, I was like, can I please use the restroom? She was like, after warm up. And so I really couldn't hold it. And so like we were doing like this nice little stretch, and then all of a sudden like there's just my pants until there was like a little puddle on the floor. And I was just so embarrassed. Like, I was just, like, walking out just like this. My teacher had to clean it up. So, I mean, yeah. I was, like, very young at the time, but...
I hope the teacher got in trouble for that, right?
I mean, she felt bad. She definitely felt bad.
I always thought about that, because some teachers are just like, no, you have to wait. And it's like, wait for what? What do you think is gonna happen?
Right. Yeah.
But yeah. Is that what you wanted?
You brought this story out, Roxy.
Well, I thought it was more relating to me. Hey, it happens.
Oh my god. You were talking about the idea that dance isn't just for entertainment, that it's also for
storytelling.
Storytelling. And you were mentioning that too. Can you guys expand on that idea?
Well, I think like how Sabrina was saying, the process, right? So if you have an idea, you go research that. Right? You get those materials, okay, and then you start, spreading it out. You might have an idea as for music who you want to, portray like what you have researched. So you start getting those CDs out, start listening to that music. And then those ideas start to come alive from like what you read, right? Or you might even have conversations about it with other people just to see their ideas. Like, does this make sense? Mm-hmm. And so from all of that, you accumulate it, and then it's almost like baking a cake, right? You have all the ingredients, you put them together, you put it in the oven, you wait for it to rise, and then you put your frosting and whatever else, to make it spark, make it taste good. I think that's very important with the storytelling. It, like how she said, it shouldn't just be a product. It shouldn't be, okay, these are the steps, this is the music, and then hit it, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's a process that needs to be something that's very meaningful and important that you want to share. I feel that with the dance, especially with the dance form, like it shouldn't just be selfish, just for yourself. I think because we're so expressive with our bodies, why make that just for your own, your own personal use? I think it needs to have a more universal, outlook. So, because, we're in this room, we're so different and unique. So I think with dance, being in a universal language, just like with music and visual art, it helps with that for us to relate to one another. And I think storytelling give us that opportunity to do so.
A lot of times when you go see dance, you see a lot of, beautiful movement and, again, like all the legs and jumps but it's like, okay, it's beautiful, but, what else? You're already beautiful. So now, like, you have to say something through your art. Like, that's essentially what we're trying to do. Like, we're using this art form to just, say something or express something. And even if, you don't understand, like, a full story, but, it's like, okay, I see where you're coming from for this, I really felt something when watching you. I didn't just see like all of this, like beautiful movement, but like it's a lot of like the subtle movements, like the small, subtle, gestures. And that's what is really powerful.
Do you guys think there's a thing as art that is mostly for the performers? Not too concerned if the audience doesn't quite understand it or not.
I think there are some people who are like that. They said, I'm going to put this out and I really don't want to say they don't care, but as for other people's opinions of how they can relate, that's not a huge concern for them. Right. So you do have people who are like that. Just like regardless, it's like, no, I'm just gonna put it out there and that's pretty much like a like a nail, on the coffin with that. But that's not how I would like to share. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be selfish like that. That's just my take on it. But yeah, you do have people like that.
Unless, you do have to start somewhere. So maybe it's just like, okay, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm just going to go in the studio and I'm just going to, do some improv and, see where that comes. But as long as you are continuing to, delve deeper into, okay, where else can this take me? Then I think that's when you find more of a deeper meaning of what am I trying to say? Mm-hmm. So first, it does start out as, okay, we're just gonna, go in the studio and do some movement out there and just see what happens. But it's like a thread. It's like how it evolves over time. And then all of a sudden you're here and then it's like, wait, wow, like we just came like all this way. Mm-hmm. So it's really interesting to, actually see that happen.
How would you explain to people who don't quite understand dance how to like understand it, interpret it?
I think for me, probably one of the easiest way, if you don't fully understand what's going on stage, is how it makes you feel. Mm-hmm. Because there can be a work, let's say like a duet between a man and a woman. They're doing this beautiful movement. You listen to whatever music that they chose for it, and it brings you to maybe a certain place that, like a memory of a time that you had this fight with your significant other. Something maybe that have brought out from that particular work. I would say you can always start from a place of how to make you feel. Maybe that can like bring up, okay, maybe this work to me in my interpretation is a struggle between a man and a woman, their fight of trying to keep their relationship alive. That's what I see on stage. So that's like one example.
I mean, it's so easy for even when people who are not dancers to just come and see a performance. My mom would come and see a performance. She was like, yeah, I like all of like the fast, crazy stuff. She was like, I like the drama. Yes. But I mean, and yes, like that is a real thing. Like people, pay tickets to come and they see these superhuman beings doing these like crazy athletic work. And it is that. Definitely dance. That is definitely a part of it. But it's okay if I can get past that and really watch it, not just like seeing people, not just seeing bodies, but seeing the entire thing as a full collective. Mm-hmm. Kind of brings out the creativity and the imagination of the mind more.
Is there, when choreographers sit down, well, maybe not sit down, but when they start thinking of like a performance piece in this whole. Is there like an idea of they're trying to inject some kind of universality to it?
I definitely think so. I think the choreographer that we work with, he definitely incorporates ideas that are universal, the relationship between a father and a daughter, and those dynamics, like, you know, everybody like can relate to that. And especially when, you know, we involve text, which we do a lot, you hear us talking, it kind of brings out the more, what's the word? There's less ambiguity of what this is. You know, you're not just seeing movement, but then you're also hearing the voices of these stories and experiences, and you say, yes, like I really felt that. Like I know what you're talking about now. You know, same between with, there's this one piece where he has Strange Love, and that's about exploring the ideas of courtship, intimacy, and love, and what that is. So people and their relationships and experiences, the human experience, I think that's essentially what we are trying to express and what we're dancing with.
If you know you're going to see a Broadway show, then you know it's going to have that spectacular, like, boom in your face, like, ah. Okay, that's to be expected because it's Broadway. It's meant to do that. But if you're going to see a particular concert dance that, again, is completely different from Broadway, then you should expect that. So don't expect everything's going to be grand, in your face, kicks and leaps all the time. So I will also just mention, when you do go see other people's works, just to have an open mind. Don't judge it right away. Like, look through it all the way through, and then maybe go to the choreographer and ask some questions if you don't fully understand, so you can see where they're coming from with their interpretation, and see, like, oh, if you got that or not. If you didn't get it, that's okay, you know, because everyone's going to have their different perceptions of whatever work that they see. But I think that's really important too, like, seeing the difference between that kind of like performant dynamic, Broadway in your face, versus one that's more concert dance, that's, you know, that has something to say.
That's unfortunate our time for right now. Say goodbye, my friends.
Goodbye.